continuing with my status of the expansions after Prelude 2, let's go with Colonies. Now, unlike Venus, CrossFit Colonies is a nearly perfect near perfect expansion. There's very little I would change. And when I did my video on the expansions, which is up there, basically the only complaint I had was that the colonies were maybe a little too like vanilla, but yeah, like there's a a plant one, a heat one, and I wish we had more colonies like Europe, and Europe was underpowered, that did like things, random things that required like paying a lot of attention, because for the most part it's like find your strategy, put your colony, yeah, and just do that, and that's great. It's a great expansion. I just wanted a little more weirdness, I guess, and I'm being picky, right? It's an excellent expansion, so and that's really the only problem that I have with it. That it like it is another way to get resources and nothing else, right? It does increase player interaction, which is great. And again, I don't want to sound like I don't like this, because I like 90% of this. I just wish it had a little more weirdness. Um, because sometimes the actions can seem a bit too straightforward. But anyway, enough complaining about our expansion. Let's talk about what was addressed. Well, let's also talk about what I like. And things that I really like in Colonies expansions are like effects like Ring Fighters or trade envoys. Effects that change the way you trade, the way that like state of how you trade, right? So those two are a great example for me. And basically, I wanted more cards like that, and I wanted like head starts with real copies. So was that addressed? All right, let's start with the first thing. First thing was absolutely addressed. We had three preludes that place colonies: strategic base planning, old mining colony, and early colonization. So, strategic base planning, you might not need a city, but this is just amazing value for a prelude. Old mining colony, it's like an average valued colony. Like if you take the value of a titanium, the colony, and the -1 card, that's about 21. And early colonization is not the most useful, but it's really interesting. But it's just an early colony and a great trade on the first generation, right? So I really like these three preludes. Then the fourth prelude, um, which is Colony Trade Hub, um, it has an effect, which is one of the things it's not my favorite effect. Is whenever any colony is placed, you gain two. Um, and the rest of you could argue, is maybe a little underpowered and really bad in a two-player game. So that's my least favorite one, but it's still like great on a multiplayer. So that was four preludes added out of the 29. So it's not too much, but I don't think like still like you only have three or four city preludes. You probably only have three or four temperature preludes. So I think 3 or 4 colonies preludes, it's pretty good. It is what it is, and it's gonna be very diluted, because there's how many 69 preludes now. So you might not get it, but the thing about colonies is that unlike Venus, you're happy to see one, but you don't need a prelude colony to go colonies, right? You're gonna do colonies anyway. Now let's talk about the card, because with the cards I was a little disappointed with the cross expansion ones and some of the effects. But let's start first with what I liked. LI Trade Terminal. So it's the same effect as Trade Envoys, but doubled. Very expensive and just great value. I think this is a banger of a card. And I just love it. It's not a new effect, but it's great. Um, and then Venus Trade Hub. This is one of the cross expansion ones. Um, and when you trade, you gain 3. I love the effect. It is tied to Venus, which if you saw my Venus video, which is up there, it's something that I like. I wish I had seen this maybe like a 2 or a 1, not tied to Venus, right? Just like I said, I wanted effects. Um, And what we got instead with a lot of the cross expansion or even non cross expansion one is just a rebate per colony. We have 3 cards of those: Colonial Representation, Series Tech Market, and Venus Allies. And so these are like all, well, the first 2 are like very interesting effects. Like +1 influence already existed, but it's always a fun thing to have. But then the interaction with colonies is just you get a rebate when you play it, right? And same thing for Series Tech Market is an interesting effect. It makes the last turn really interesting, but you get a rebate. And then Venus is the least interesting one, Venus Allies. You just get a rebate again. I don't know. I feel something more fun could have been done with the cross expansion colonies, and in the case of Series, just colonies. And considering that there are only 6 cards, sorry, 7, right? 8 cards added that have to do with colonies. Like losing 3 like that, because the rest of the card is usually good. Like Serious Tech Market and Colony Representation are good. It's just like the colonies interaction is just a rebate. I didn't love it. And then we lost a few other ones. Soil Studies, I don't think it's good. And Microgravity Nutrition, again, it's this one's good, but it's a weird card. So it has a plant and a micro attack, which is good for the green combo, and then you gain 1 income per colony and a victory point. So it's kind of like a generic card. It's good, but I'm not sure I like it that much. Like in terms of adding fun to the game, right? And Soul Studies is just garbage. And then the final card is Colonial Envoys. I do like this one a little more. It's adding delegates, which is more interesting than cash, but it's still just a per colony thing. So like 5 cards are just you get some. No, sorry, 6 when you count Soul Studies are just like get something back per colony. So maybe they're trying to incentivize you to place more colonies, but that's not how it works. I just really wish we got more cards like LA Trade Terminal and Venus Trade Hub, and even more cards that place colonies that we got 0. And now, like, well, we got the Preludes, but I wish one of these cards was like a delegate and a colony, something like that. So I was honestly a bit disappointed with the colonies cards. I don't think it gets weaker, because colonies is not even a strategy, so I couldn't even say it gets weaker. It sort of addressed some of the things I wanted it to, but I don't know why it's all just rebates. So yeah, I was a little disappointed. I don't think it changes much how you play with colonies at all, except for the Preludes, which now can give you really early colonies, right? So, but other than that, yeah, I'd say mixed feelings. But yeah, anyway, that's my video for colonies. Let me know what you think, and see you next time.